Welcome to www.theaustraliantest.com, your trusted resource for Australian citizenship test preparation with 12 years of experience. In this video, we will present 20 unique multiple-choice questions drawn directly from the official guide, Australian Citizenship, Our Common Bond. Each question comes with a detailed explanation to enhance your understanding. Please do not skip and watch continuously for the best learning experience. Do not forget to share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Let's get started.
Question 1. What are the primary functions of the House of Representatives? Option A. Discuss matters of national importance only. Option B. Consider, debate, and vote on new laws and changes to existing laws. Option C. Appoint government ministers. Option D. Conduct foreign affairs. The correct answer is consider, debate, and vote on new laws and changes to existing laws. Explanation: the important work of the House of Representatives is to consider, debate, and vote on proposals for new laws or changes to the laws. Members of the House of Representatives also discuss matters of national importance. Question 2. What is the Australian government responsible for? Option A. Drains. Option B. Footpaths. Option C. Defense. Option D. Railways. The correct answer is defense. Explanation: the Australian government is responsible for defense. Question 3. For approximately how long have Aboriginal people inhabited Australia? Option A. 40,000 to 60,000 years. Option B. 20,000 to 50,000 years. Option C. 10,000 to 30,000 years. Option D. 80,000 to 90,000 years. The correct answer is 40,000 to 60,000 years. Explanation: Aboriginal people have lived here for between 40,000 to 60,000 years. Question 4. Which statement about English in Australia is correct? Option everyone is encouraged to learn and use English to participate in Australian society. Option B. English is the only language allowed in Australia. Option C. Learning English is mandatory for all residents. Option D. English is discouraged in favor of native languages. The correct answer is everyone is encouraged to learn and use English to participate in Australian society. Explanation: Australia's national language is English. It is part of our national identity. Everyone in Australia is encouraged to learn and use English to help them participate in Australian society. Question 5. Which statement about Australian states and territories is true? Option A. Only the states have capital cities. Option B. A few states share a capital city. Option C. Each state and mainland territory has its own capital. Option D. Australia has only one capital city for the entire country. The correct answer is each state and mainland territory has its own capital. Explanation: the Commonwealth of Australia is a federation of states and territories. There are 6 states and 2 mainland territories. Canberra is Australia's capital city, and each state and mainland territory has its own capital. Question 6. What is the responsibility of the Australian government among the following options? Option A. Footpaths. Option B. Drains. Option C. Social Security. Option D. Police and The correct answer is Social Security. Explanation: the Australian government is responsible for Social Security, pensions, and family support. Question 7. Which is the capital city of Australia? Option A. Melbourne. Option B. Sydney. Option C. Canberra. Option D. Brisbane. The correct answer is Canberra. Explanation: Canberra is Australia's capital city, and each state and mainland territory has its own capital. Question 8. Which statement about equality in Australia is true? Option A. Both women and men have the right to vote and stand for parliament. Option B. Only men can vote and stand for parliament. Option C. Only women can vote and stand for parliament. Option D. Voting rights are based on property ownership. The correct answer is both women and men have the right to vote and stand for parliament. Explanation: men and women have equal rights in Australia. Both men and women have equal access to education and employment. Both men and women can vote and stand for parliament. Question 9. What is Australia's national anthem called? Option A. Advance Australia Young. Option B. Advance Australia Fair. Option C. Advance Australia Land. Option D. God Save the King. The correct answer is Advance Australia Fair. Explanation: Advance Australia Fair is Australia's national anthem. It is sung on occasions of national importance. It is also sung at Australian citizenship ceremonies, major sporting events, and at school. Question 10. How do Australian people govern the country? Option A. By regularly voting for representatives in Parliament. Option B. By voting only for the Premier and state government. Option C. By voting only for the Prime Minister. Option D. Through direct democracy. The correct answer is by regularly voting for representatives in Parliament. Explanation: the power of the government comes from the Australian people, because Australian citizens regularly vote for people to represent them in Parliament. Question 11. Australians have the freedom to follow any religion or belief. Option A. True. Option B. False. Option C. Only certain religions are allowed. Option D. Freedom of religion is restricted. The correct answer is true. Or explanation: people in Australia are free to follow any religion they choose, as long as its practices do not break Australian laws. Question 12. In the Commonwealth Coat of Arms, what supports the shield on each side? Option A. Koala and a kangaroo. Option B. A kangaroo and an emu. Option C. An emu and a koala. Option D. A dingo and a platypus. The correct answer is a kangaroo and an emu. Explanation: a kangaroo and an emu support the shield on each side. Kangaroos are native Australian animals and emus are native Australian birds. Question 13. How did the British colonies unite to form a single Australian nation? Option A. Through revolution. Option B. By negotiation and referendum. Option C. Through bloodshed. And option D. By royal decree. The correct answer is by negotiation and referendum. Australians are proud of the fact that their nation did not emerge through revolution or bloodshed, but by negotiation and referendum. Question 14. What organization has been set up to encourage cooperation between the various levels of government? Option A. Council of Territory Government. Option B. The Council of State Government. Option C. The Council of Australian Governments. Option D. The Preview of State Government. The correct answer is the Council of Australian Government. This explanation: some responsibilities are shared between the various levels of government. The Council of Australian Governments has been set up to encourage cooperation between the levels of government. Question 15. What is the National Police Force of Australia called? Option A, Australian Federal Police. Option B, Australian Territory Police. Option C, Australian State Police. Option D, Australian Local Police. The correct answer is Australian Federal Police. Explanation: Australia also has a national police force called the Australian Federal Police. The Australian Federal Police investigates crimes against federal laws. Question 16. Who decides on the penalty if a person has broken the law? Option A, the Governor General. Option B, the Prime Minister. Option C, the Court. Option D, the Member of Parliament. The correct answer is the court. Explanation: the courts decide if a person has broken the law or not and decide the penalty. Every person has the right to be represented by a lawyer in court. Question 17. Which culture is considered the oldest continuing culture in the world? Option A, British culture. Option B, Roman culture. Option C, Australia's indigenous cultures. Option D, French culture. The correct answer is Australia's indigenous cultures. Explanation: Australia's first inhabitants were the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. They are the indigenous people of Australia. Australia's indigenous cultures are the oldest continuing cultures in the world. Question 18. On the Australian Aboriginal flag, what does the red color on the bottom half represent? Option A, Earth and a spiritual relation to the land. Option B, the Torres Straits Island groups. Option C, Aboriginal people. Option D, the sun and sky. The correct answer is Earth and a spiritual relation to the land. The explanation: the Australian Aboriginal flag's bottom half is red and represents the earth and a spiritual relation to the land. Question 19. How many arms of government does the Australian Constitution divide power between? Option A, 3. Option B, 5. Option C, 4. Option D, 2. The correct answer is 3. Explanation: the Australian Constitution divides power between 3 arms of government: legislative power, executive power, and judicial power. Question 20. Who does the governor represent in each state? Option A, King. Option B, Prime Minister. Option C, Governor General. Option D, Chief Minister. The correct answer is King. Explanation: Australia's head of state is the King of Australia, His Majesty King Charles III. In each of the states, there is a governor who represents the king in a role that is similar to the Governor General.
Thanks for watching. We hope you answered all the questions correctly and this practice test helped you prepare for your Australian citizenship test. Remember to check out www.theaustraliantest.com for more free resources and practice tests. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more helpful content. Good luck on your journey to Australian citizenship.